like I finished talking, and then Steven was just like, he just sat there, like staring at. He was like,
Like, okay,
for
man.
like a full minute, and then he was just like,
Oh, you know what? He was probably
thanks for that
typing.
point. Yeah, he was typing notes or something, and he was like, yeah, that's a good point. Andrew, what are your thoughts? I'm like a full minute here. I'm like,
It took him a whole minute to think of that.
like he's not. I know both Andrew and I are like, come on, anytime.
He's like, okay, podcast over. We're done.
I know, right?
We only did intros.
Taking notes on intros. Hey everyone, welcome to Real Talk with Our Stories, Your Legacy. Today we are continuing with the 29th episode of the Rona series, and we're back with sports. Sports 4.0 today. We got a good cast of characters around the table today. So before we kind of hop into things, let's go around the table, see who's here, see how everyone is doing, all of that. From my view, I'm just going to go around. Ray, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Nothing exciting for me, just living every day. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Things are good.
It is what it is. You know how it goes, man. It's just 2021's same thing, right?
Yeah. Seems like it's going to be a repeat of, it'd be like 2020 part B or something like that, or part 2.
Yeah, I know. I saw someone say, like, can January slow down? I was like, nah, man, they're trying to speed run it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
We'll see. We'll see what happens after tomorrow. But...
Yeah. Tomorrow's kind of a big day. So inauguration day for all those listeners. When we're recording this, you will hear it after the fact, but big day nonetheless. Cool. Thanks for joining us again today, Ray.
Of course.
Zavon, how you doing, man?
You know how it is. Even in 2021, a new year, same shit, different day.
Yep, know it all too well. Tagline still relevant. Jomar, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Staying busy. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excited for, I guess, not having the Seahawks in the Super Bowl this year, but hopefully it turns out good, at least the rest of the NFL season, and looking forward to baseball. So pretty pumped. Here we go.
Yeah. And just like all the other sports episodes, we're going to give a chance for Joe to plug some information here. I know since the last time, we're not talking about better properties anymore. You want to fill us in on that change?
Yeah, I'm excited to announce that I actually recently started at Theory Real Estate in Tacoma. So if any of you are interested in living down the South Sound, which I'm guessing a good number of people that listen to the podcast might be, feel free to hit me up. I'm still the same, information if you want to give me a call, but really hyped to join the team over at Theory. I think they're doing some really great job, great stuff, and transforming Tacoma and making it a great place to live. So definitely excited to join their team, and let me know if you need help.
And there it is. New location, same Joe. Thanks for being on today, man.
Anytime, guys. Thanks.
Gerald, how you doing?
Doing good. Something new, nothing really new, but today's Tuesday right now. We just got back from MLK break, and this probably has to be the most Monday, Tuesday ever. Drank a cold brew in the morning, and then I told myself at 12 o'clock I didn't get shit through the whole day, so I'll pretty much have to drink another energy drink to cap that all off. So, but now I'm energized. It's 8 o'clock, and I'm ready to go.
Perfect. No, I hear you on that. I know. No, Allie had to work yesterday, so she dealt with the Monday, but I am feeling it as well today. Had to drink a lot of coffee. Cold brew in the morning as well. So
Yes.
yeah, had to start it off. Get some caffeine in me, and just like you, I had to take another shot of caffeine in the afternoon to kind of get through the rest of the day.
Yep, with that non-dairy creamer.
Oh yeah, you know what it is.
Mhm.
I just wish, random side note, I just wish they sold non-dairy creamer like oat milk or any of that stuff in smaller containers, like with like half and half, like they sell like the super small containers.
Yes.
The non-dairy things are like half-gallon ones. I'm like, I'm not going to use that much creamer if I need creamer. I don't understand. I
Yeah.
usually drink it black, but yeah. Anyways,
We don't need all that. It's going to expire soon anyway. So
I know, right? Use within 7 days. There's no way I'm getting through that. All right, thanks for joining, man.
Yep.
And last but not least, Andrew, how you doing, man?
Good. Doing good. Over the weekend, or I guess actually this week, I started my military school. It's called the Captain's Career Course for the Logistic Officers. So just a lot of learning logistics functions and sustainment stuff and formulas and log planning, all that fun Army stuff. But in recreational life, I went snowboarding over the weekend. Went to Snoqualmie. Getting better. It's my first season out there. So if I ever see you guys or you ever want to go snowboard, let me know. I'm always down to hit the mountains before the season ends. And then just finished my forearm of my project sleeve that I'm working on. So yeah, pretty good week. Pretty good start of the week. Can't complain about anything.
Nice. That's awesome. Well, Stephen is not with us today. He has family in town, so he is not on this one. He will be back next week in what should be an exciting episode. So make sure to stay tuned for that one. So before we hop in, kind of a little recap since Sports 3.0. I think the last episode of Sports we had was right before Thanksgiving. A lot of things have happened since then. I know in that episode we talked about how sports is kind of the leading edge in trying to give people entertainment and everything, but we also raised the question of, are these athletes in these leagues, are they above the law in some regards? We kind of really looked like at the argument of, players, like are we just putting them out there to play for entertainment? Like, are we even considering that they are human beings as well? Their livelihood and everything is still just as important as us. Yeah, sure, they might have money to pay for certain tests and everything like that, but they are still humans. So that was kind of the debate that we kind of discussed last time. And then we looked at the kind of the money moguls of the sports industry, the NBA, the NFL, all of that, and kind of really looked at, the end of the day, they are a business. They are trying to make money. Kind of had that question of like good versus evil. Do they actually care because they're taking things seriously, or do they just want to make money by putting their athletes out there, even if athletes want to play, and vice versa? And we kind of visited the whole players taking things into their own hands in a sense, with them opting out of seasons and all of that stuff. You've seen it now for the entire seasons of like some basketball, some baseball, some football, and with kind of the ending of some seasons coming to a close right now, and the beginning of other seasons, we still have that as kind of a hot topic. How people are taking things seriously as far as their health goes and what's important to them. So with that, we're going to hop into today's episode. Sports are still a very relevant thing. They are, still a big piece of our entertainment from week to week. But since the last episode, we are going to start with college football. College football has come to a close. I know we mentioned that in the last episode as well. Pros versus, collegiate. How serious are things being taken on each level? What resources do they have at each level? Does a D3 college have the resources as a D1 versus a NFL team, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the one that hits home is how seriously, obviously, did those things play a part in some of the collegiate teams across the nation. You saw some teams that didn't get hit with anything, and then you saw other teams that got hit with, one person got the virus and just quickly spread like wildfire in those situations. I think the biggest one for us, kind of mentioned it in the follow-up episode, the episode after Sports 3.0, was that, the Washington Huskies, our team, our college, they didn't play in an Apple Cup. It was really weird. We haven't had an Apple Cup. And you saw it kind of affect how the rest of the season played out as well. They were supposed to play for the Pac-12 championship. They ended up having to pull out of that as well due to not having enough eligible players because of COVID. So kind of looking back at the last episode and to today's episode, how do you guys think the college season went, all things considered? Where we were at last episode, I think we were in game 2 or 3 of that season. Has it changed any of your opinions, whether, college programs took things as serious, or if they just didn't have the resources, or the same resources as, say, like a professional team, even though collegiate programs have a lot of money? So anyone can hop into this first. I know it is kind of a big looming question, so anyone can dive in on it.
I can start. For me, just looking at the college football season, it was weird overall, just because typically most college teams, like the start of the week, they start like a specific week and then they end a specific week. It's just, for example, like the Pac-12, like we started probably like 4 or 5 weeks into the season, and it just felt like every conference felt like its own like little league in a sense. So like the SEC is like worrying about them. They played the majority of their games. Like the Pac-12 only played like a total, like depending on which team, like for example, UW played like 4 games. So it was an interesting feel. And for my justification on the college, the college football playoffs was really weird, just because not all teams played the same amount of games, but of course with like the whole ranking system, stuff like that, it was just like really odd. Like for me, I feels like, I mean, granted, like who won the playoffs for the college playoffs this year? I mean, like for me, it has like a little asterisk, just because like, there could, honestly, I can see UW going up there. That's my personal opinion, but it's just like, it was just like they just went literally from like it was a business to business day, and they just literally went like rolled with the punches with it. So I think like for me, like overall, just as like the season went, was just weird. And I don't know, like it's just like they do a good job with COVID. I mean, I can't say, because like there was like for example, we saw like UW's program got affected. They weren't able to play in the Apple Cup. They weren't able to play in the Pac-12 championship. So it's just like, it's like I can't call it a successful season if like teams weren't able to compete like 100%. So that's my take on that one.
I'll jump in and I'll say that I don't think colleges were as equipped enough to handle COVID outbreaks throughout their seasons. And I mean, I think we saw that with a lot of the Pac-12 teams and how things ended up, being truncated with playing a limited schedule, which definitely, did not bode well for us when it came around to conference championships and getting eventually into the college football playoff. So, it was really difficult, I think, even to make it the case for a Pac-12 team to get that far. I mean, and we even saw in the even in the national championship, how missing 4 or 5 games can affect a team. I mean, you saw that Ohio State got demolished by Alabama, and Alabama's been, they got like 13, 14 games played already, and So, you actually saw the effects that it could have. So I don't think that they were well equipped, and I don't think that goes for any any other college program. NFL obviously has a lot of money in it. They can spend as much money as they want on COVID protocol and testing people and all of that. But I just don't think the NCAA was well equipped to and structured to handle 300 plus teams and at the same time protect all their players. And I feel bad for us. I mean, I'm a UW fan just as much as all you guys are, and definitely wish that we could have been able to play more games. And every conference also had their own protocol on how they handled things too. Like the Pac-12, I think they were like, if you don't have a certain position group, you can't play, yada yada yada. So it was definitely difficult to navigate that, I think, for a lot of folks. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think you brought up some good points there. I think the biggest thing too, the difference is also you're dealing with student athletes as well. Sure, they're disciplined, but at the same time, there's a lot more that can go into it. There's going to be a lot more college parties that are still happening that people shouldn't be going to, but they still do. As far as that goes, contact tracing, I'm not sure what they used in the NCAA this year and all of that. But yeah, I think it was hard. I think the different restrictions that each kind of league had, all of that, it was just crazy. It's just so funny how like different states can have, such varying protocols when it comes to certain things. So yeah, I think for college it was a little rough. But I think they still did the best they could, but yeah, with the amount of resources they had.
I'm just going to throw this out there that I think UW should have won the Pac-12, but it might be my personal bias. So
I think they had a good shot. They had a good shot for sure, winning the Pac-12. Should they have won and then moved on? I don't think. I think the same thing would have happened to us as like the Oregon got whomped, but also 5-6 games compared to 12. It's just one of those things. Ray, I know you're kind of big on football, UW football, and hey, we'll bring in UW basketball as well. Why not? Because that's a big topic of discussion for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, maybe we don't talk about basketball.
That's fair.
Maybe we leave that out. Yeah, I mean, this whole season's sort of just been, I mean, it feels like a long time ago because what was it, like Apple Cup was in November and then like the Oregon game was the week after, and I think UW was pretty good in terms of not having any COVID cases until that game. So I thought on the bright side, we were doing pretty well in terms of keeping the players safe and all that. And like, I mean, we played really good games and ended up, I think, so the Apple Cup got canceled because of Wazoo having a COVID case. And then Oregon, it was on us. And then literally, like, you can't really do much after that. And then the Pac-12 championship, we kind of had to sit out of that as well. So I don't know, kind of shot ourselves in the foot, I feel like, but I'm not entirely sure, what happened there, or, I guess someone partied a little too hard, and yeah, it's kind of rough, but overall, I don't know. Feels like it's just like over my head now. Like I'm done. I don't really want to think about it anymore. And then talking about this today kind of brought back some terrible memories. Like we could have gone, Pac-12 championship could have been us, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard for student athletes as well because this could have been their year. They could have easily got to national championship, playoff, whatever that may be. They could have made it. This might have been their year, but sure, people are offering and colleges are offering like another year of eligibility. But at that point, how many people still want that? I mean, if the people are good enough to get to the next level in the NFL, are they going to stay and try to help their teammates, or are they going to do what's best for them and potentially go to the NFL? So I mean, there's a lot of varying things there as well in that regard. So it's kind of, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, like, we have like these like seniors who are pretty much like trying to be eligible for the NFL and trying to compile like tape together and just like, oh, well, I only played 4 games this season. What can I put up there? So it's kind of like, I think like it's interesting too, just like how the recruiting is going to be, or just like when teams are interested into a player. I mean, they can't really think about this year, but also think about like last year and like the year before that, depending on their eligibility, to see like where their draft stock is. So I mean, for example, like Trevor Lawrence, right now probably the number 1 pick going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, probably most likely. But just like seeing like the other people, like in the second round, the third round, like it'll be interesting to see like how the NFL teams will kind of like take a look at like the specific player and their need and stuff. So that'd be really interesting.
I think Gerald's got a good point. I think if the players are smart, they'll take advantage of that extra year of eligibility. And like if there's stock isn't good, like they're probably not going to be drafted top pick like Trevor Lawrence. They're probably going to take that extra year, add a couple more games down in their resume and be much better off next year, hopefully. But
Yeah, it's a weird year. I have no idea what's going to happen on that front. Vaughn, Andrew, you have anything you want to add to the collegiate side of things?
To be honest, I don't really follow the collegiate sports. The only thing that I know was, Nick Saban got his 6th ring, so congrats. Roll Tide, go Bama.
Yeah, Roll Tide. Zavon, anything?
I mean, I didn't really follow much of collegiate football this year.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously because of the circumstances, so I was just kind of back and forth. I didn't even watch the championship. I watched like snippets of it and just saw like what was it, by like third quarter, like Alabama was just killing OSU. Or I think it was like right after the Justin Fields injury, which I hope he's doing better now. But yeah, it's tragic to be hurt in your either playoff or championship game. So, and hopefully that doesn't hurt like his chances going in the draft, because I'm really curious of where he's going to go.
Yeah. So. Yeah, this year was weird. I paid attention, but I didn't pay attention. It was kind of like one of those years, like when COVID would just run rampant in some teams and they'd miss 2 weeks in a row. It's like, in my head, I think it was like, I know it matters to those players, but at the same time, for me, I'm just like, I don't think this college football season counts. I'm sure it counts. I mean, it counts, obviously, but for me, I'm just like, does it? I don't know. I'm going to go watch something, I guess. I don't know. Just not that. So with that, we're going to kind of shift. And Jomar, do you have anything to say to that?
Oh, nothing. I was, go ahead. I was just going to talk about, the Stanford game for UW. Like, I mean, who would have thought that the Stanford game would have been like the last game of the season? Like, we didn't know that it was like, I thought we had maybe like 4 games left at least, or three games. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we're not playing this week, and I guess we're not playing that week. So, and then they put together the conference championship game on top of other games, and I was like, well, what are we playing for? What are you just going to throw these people on the field for then? If we're not playing for a title, why are we playing? So yeah, those were just some extra thoughts that I had on the matter. But I do think of 2020 as an asterisk season, and same thing like with baseball too. And while I'm definitely happy, the Dodgers, they won the championship. I mean, it's 60 games versus 100 whatever schedule. I mean, that's not the same, and the grind is different. So I don't holding these major league championships. I don't know if it's going to be 100% one entirely. So
Yeah, I mean, people, teams they pick up stride at certain different parts of the season typically. For Mariners fans, obviously, like Mariners usually start out hot, so it's kind of like, oh, we could have a chance here, because by the end of the season, we usually just don't do anything. So, it's just one of those things. It's just a different mentality, I guess, going into it. You fall behind after 1 week, and you're done.
Your season's toast. Yeah.
It's hard to make up anything at that point. So moving into that, we will talk kind of like Major League Baseball. That is coming up. We'll see how that goes. It's supposed to be a full season. We'll see. It's going to be different for sure still. But kind of moving from like college football, something else that just is finishing up, I should say, not completely finished, is NFL. And, when we talked about it, our previous predictions, week 4, week 6, everything was going to be shut down. At that point, it was week 11, and we were like, well, it is still going. It has surpassed what we thought. And to this day, it is still going. But, it did not go smoothly for a lot of teams. There was some crazy some crazy things that did happen to some teams. Denver, for instance, did not have a quarterback. Their entire quarterback room got COVID, or it was in close proximity to them. So they had to sign their practice squad receiver who played quarterback in college to the active roster to play quarterback. And that was kind of my next point, Joe, was just the Cleveland wide receivers group. They had to pick up their guy on most of their team on the practice squad that week, and elevate different like positions, running backs to wide receivers. I think there was one wide receiver that wasn't in that room for Cleveland when it happened. So he was like automatically jumped up to the number 1 receiver. 200,000 people picked him up on fantasy because they thought they'd do well. And he didn't. So sucks for them. That's something that it just ended as well. Our fantasy football season. That was a crazy, crazy end of the season. Too bad Steven's not here. What was the point of his season? He went almost undefeated, and then he lost in the first round of the playoffs. But he's not here to defend himself, so we'll talk about that.
Sounds like the Steelers.
How did everyone else do in the draft?
Bottom 2.
I
mean, fantasy football. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Bottom 2.
Well, Tyler won this year.
Nice.
I was kind of scared that I was going to get the final, like the last 2, but went on the run, but it was just far too late for me. So I got 5th place.
It's a rough season, man. I think I was like 9th place or something like that. So, fingers crossed for a better year next year.
Yeah, it was crazy because I was in the bottom 2 for like the first 6 weeks of the season, and then I clawed back up to snag the 4th spot, and then I ended up getting hot in the playoffs, and I won. And thank the fantasy gods for that snowstorm in Green Bay. Otherwise, I wouldn't have won that matchup. But hey, I'll take it. I for sure thought Andrew was just he had 2 players. He was only down by like 7 points. I was like, oh, he's gonna beat me. And then they got 0 points.
When we were talking about like the quarterback situation for the Denver Broncos, it's so weird just because low key the NFL is like, who cares about the Denver Broncos at this point right now? I mean, they're a historic franchise, but they weren't going to make the playoffs. It's so weird to see that they had to play their guys out, especially they had no quarterback on their roster, but yet we see the Steelers and the Ravens and stuff like that. Like they're getting rescheduled to Tuesday and Wednesday night games. It's so contradictory on that. It's I thought it was crazy, and honestly, I won't share how I watch my NFL games, but I did. I was really interested to see how that game went. It's just man, this is was like watching like an AFL team or Canadian football teams. Like, you know what? Let's go try. Let's go take advantage of this opportunity. And of course, that opportunity did not rise. So, it was just a really interesting year. Like with that and like the hierarchy. Like, hey, if you're 11-0 and you have the chance to make the playoffs, let's give you a Wednesday night football game. Sponsored by PBS. So, that's yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was very. I understand why they did it, but at the same time, I was like, well, that's kind of hypocritical. It's like, man, you let this other team. They had 2 players that had COVID, and you shifted their entire game. But then you have a team that literally has no quarterback now, and you're making them go out there. It looked like Alabama versus East Western Chattanooga State University or something. These D3 or D2 schools that come out of nowhere that has to play Alabama. Like,
yeah,
did they enjoy that? No. They're going to get whomped. What the heck? I know, hey, that school probably made $1 million off of it, but, those players are probably like, oh, man, this sucks.
Yeah, watching Alabama, like, towards the end of the season against, like, stomping on, like, some, like, supposedly D2 or D3 school.
Schools you've never even heard of. You're like, what the? I didn't even know that school existed. I didn't even know Chattanooga was a state.
Where is that at?
Hey, real shit though. I mean, in regards to like, having like a backup quarterback play this season, whether if it's to fill in for an injury or a COVID reserve player, like, I don't know if this is just me, but like a lot of the backup quarterbacks, like they've at least had like one game that's been like close or like they won. Like there were games where I just caught, like, I think it was the playoff game last week where Tampa Bay was going against Washington football team, or was that 2 weeks ago? Last week, whatever that was, and they were playing against Heineke, like who was really only experienced in what was it the AFL?
XFL.
Or XFL?
XFL, yeah.
Whatever league he played in. Yeah, I was like, oh man, the Bucks are gonna have a cakewalk, and he actually kept it close. Like,
oh yeah,
the Washington football team looked better than Seattle in their first playoff game. Real shit. So, and then like we lost to like an injured Jared Goff. Like,
oh man, here we go.
So like the backup quarterbacks or even the injured quarterbacks, they've actually held up more than I would expect them. Like even Mike Glennon, like I forgot he was still in the league this year, and I think they're like this dictated my fantasy football decision. I think it was the Vikings that were playing the Jags one week, and they were like, "Oh, Minshew can't play. We'll put in Mike Glennon." So I immediately picked up the Vikings defense, and Mike Glennon shredded them, like utterly shredded them. I was like, "You're telling me this old fuck who's been milking the league just like put up 30 points against the Vikings defense?"
Yeah.
So yeah, but what can you do? Life.
That was kind of the story of the season, man. You'd think you'd have a favorable matchup with defenses, and just like, yeah, you have a third stringer coming in and just picking them apart like he's been in the league. Well, I mean, some of them have been in the league a long time, but
dude, we lost to Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
After a halftime lead.
Doesn't happen often.
God damn it, Seattle.
Pretty much. Oh, man. I think that brings up like one of my points on this season. I know there's been a lot to really look at and diagnose on this NFL season. Next week or this upcoming weekend, when this drops, we'll be watching the NFC and AFC championship games to hopefully, whatever teams are going to play in the Super Bowl at that point. But I think one of the big points, and I know we've talked about this before, but I think really a big argument, not even for the whole season, but specifically for the playoffs, is just, what state regulations looked like in certain areas and of the teams that played in the playoffs. I know for instance, Seattle, we had home field advantage, but we are one of the states that does not allow fans in the stands at that point. And obviously, the biggest part of a home field advantage is having the crowd noise. Where other teams in the playoffs, for instance, like the Cleveland Browns, the Chiefs, Green Bay Green Bay only had like 3,000 people, but it was 3,000 more people than most things. So I think that kind of raised the question of like, is it fair? Because like we talked about this for the full season. It's like, well, is it fair that some teams get to have fans and some teams don't? I think the easiest example during the season was early on when the Cowboys were down. To the Falcons? Was it the Falcons they were playing? That just discredited my whole argument. But just kidding. But Dallas was down. But like then their crowd started getting into it, even though there was only 12,000 people there. It was still 12,000 people. So then they got pumped up. That gave the players some energy and everything, and they ended up coming back and winning that game. Whereas most home teams this year did not have that energy kind of flowing into their players and whatnot. So I think the biggest thing was, I know going into the playoffs, obviously you want to win your division, get your home field advantage, to get that home game, to really cement like, oh, they're not going to beat us at home kind of thing. But with a lot of the teams not having crowds, and then some of them having crowds, like kind of saw like the teams that had the crowds ended up winning and whatnot. The teams that didn't lost at home. So it was kind of one of those things. It was like, oh man, is there what, I don't know where people sit on that argument of fairness. Should the NFL have considered a more neutral location for these playoff games, just because of the implications on them? What that looks like.
I was thinking, because I think I forgot which game it was. It was a Monday Night Football game, and it's Monday or Thursday Night Football game, and so, and of course, when we watched like during the season, like you hear like some crowd noise, and of course, I didn't do any more research after that. It's just like I thought they're just pumping in, like I know like they were like pumping in like some Madden like crowds and stuff like that, and then, what I didn't know, it was like it's just a broadcast, like it's just what we hear through the TV, but they shut off the switch of the crowd noise, and it's just literally it's an eerie. You can only hear like all the players and stuff like that. And I thought that was like not CenturyLink, Lumen Field was just like, okay, they're gonna add some like some noise, and then it seemed like it's a home game. And now just kind of thinking like that wasn't the case, and thinking like, well, going to your question or like your like statement of like was it fair that like we have like Florida teams, we have like Texas teams, like having fans like in the game, like does give them upper advantage, gives a little leverage. Like I know like there's probably like in the NFL protocols and like and with the hot debate of like who or which is the loudest stadium in the NFL, and like would it be considered cheating if the like Lumen Field had like like the same amount of decibels as an average, quote unquote, average crowd of the NFL. And I think maybe that would have been a tiny bit advantage for the Seahawks. I mean they're horrible. They didn't play horrible. They played okay, but going to that, I mean like I don't know if they'll even make a difference. So yeah, it's just like so like I can't say they're cheating because they bring in the fans, but like yeah, you really saw in the playoffs that the home field advantage like did take play, like was partake there when like actual fans were there. So yeah.
I guess I'll jump in and talk. I mean, I think you look at the season, and I'm gonna talk about kind of like the cards that you're dealt, right? I mean, like each day is going to have everything different. This is life in 2020, and I don't think the NFL really could control letting people into the stand. I mean, I'm sure they could, but like, I don't think that they would feel obligated to stop people from entering, because at the end of the day, it's more money for them, right? So, um, so 2020, you're going to look at it and you're going to look at the cards that were dealt, and you're going to look at the season and what you had to play with, just like how you play with injuries. And I think that's how the NFL looked at COVID in general, was like, it's an injury and you get over it, right? And it's up to you on how you want to look at this championship, and if you're going to put an asterisk next to it as well. So that's those are kind of my thoughts on it. You wish that you can control it. I 100% wish that we could have been in CenturyLink this year to watch the Seahawks play, and I obviously do think that being in the stands definitely does make a difference on an athlete's psyche, and having a community behind you rooting you on. And obviously Lumen is one of the loudest places in the country, and I'm still getting used to that. So those are my thoughts, at least on how they handled it. I'm hopeful for 2021 that we'll be able to get back in the building and do things, and obviously have be able to support teams and as loud as we can. But the way I look at it, it is what it is at this point. So, and who would have thought that at the beginning of the season I would be asking for Ken Norton to get fired, and but yet the other thing happened, that Shoddy got fired and Ken is still there. So it's just 2020 is crazy, man. 2021 still crazy. So those are my thoughts.
Anyone else want to hop in on the NFL take?
I don't really have a lot of thoughts besides like just looking forward to like the games coming up this weekend. Is it this weekend?
Yeah.
And then the Super Bowl. Like honestly, the whatever's already happened has happened, and it's like I don't know. I don't really have like anything to say about it. I'm just kind of looking ahead and looking forward. I don't know. I started this bracket between the three of us on Zoom and Chill, and Gerald and Joe Mara, and it's just like, man, I'm just like, come on, let me have something at least, right? Have something go my way.
Yeah, disclaimer that the reason why the Seahawks lost is because of Ray, so that's all I got to say. But
yeah, I'll take the blame for that. I'll take the blame for that. But,
yeah,
actually
go off of Ray. I jokingly say this, but I'm really excited for the Pro Bowl that's going to happen. I can't wait for all the fans to be there around the world. I don't know how in the hell they're going to do it, but it's happening on Madden. So
Live on Twitch.
That's more people than the national broadcast of like your local TV station. But yeah, I'm just really excited. I'm just kidding. I'm not excited, but it's interesting to see like how the NFL is adapting and trying to make things normal. But of course, I don't know what the schedule's going to look like. I don't know what the format's going to be for the Pro Bowl, but I'm happy that the Seahawks at least have I think 5 or 6 representatives for the Pro Bowl. So
7, I think.
7, yeah. Nick Ballore, like he's probably the best player on our team, and also our long snapper Tyler Ott, great player. He snaps the ball well. 4 or 5-star recruit back in college. But those are my takes for Pro Bowl. But
yeah. No, I'm kind of with you, Ray. I honestly, like, I know it's the thing of a past. It's just kind of an interesting topic to really talk about. Just the different state regulations and who's all in there and who can be at the stadium, who can't be at the stadium. I think it's just, it's kind of wild what the country looks like right now in some states that are allowing people, some other states that are not allowing people. Is there the correlation with how those states are doing as far as COVID numbers? Because some of them are running rampant and they're still allowing people to gather in large parties and stuff. So it's just this is a weird year, weird take on different counties and states and all that stuff. One of the things that I did want to bring up though is I don't know if anyone watched the playoff game, the Saints, not the one last week or that they lost, but when they won and they were on Nickelodeon. Did anyone actually watch like the broadcast on Nickelodeon?
I saw like some of the stuff on Twitter. I thought it was just all like somebody just went on like, After Effects and like actually added that, but all over Twitter it's just like literally saying like this is the coolest like broadcast I've seen, like makes things so interesting.
You want to know what's funny about that partnership or featurette on Nickelodeon? Like halfway through, I was like, "Oh man, what if someone's like caught on the mic?" And then I think it's Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson gets penalized. The ref calls him out, and Cordell Patterson's close enough to the ref where the mic picks him up. And he's like, "The fuck!" Right in, like clearly, crystal clear on Nickelodeon television. I was just like dying. I was like, "What a stud!" He doesn't even know he's on Nickelodeon.
It's like, oh man, those kids have no idea.
Maybe that's why I couldn't watch the game, because I was trying to find it because on Nickelodeon.
I think it's kind of cool how they did that, honestly, like get more youth. I saw someone kind of tweet about it. He's like, my son, like, he just doesn't watch football with me. Like every week I watch football. He doesn't want to join me, but they put it on Nickelodeon. They threw SpongeBob on the screen, and all of a sudden he wanted to watch the whole game with me. So I guess there's something there. So it's kind of funny.
Who was the MVP again? Was it Trubisky?
Yeah, Trubisky got
Trubisky was the MVP.
I think it was just funny, that whole situation. Like Nate Burleson was one of the announcers. Man, it was funny. It was just like, I think that was like that was kind of the thing with the Mr. Trubisky too, is just like what a fitting way to kind of end your kind of crappy season. It's like, oh, you got voted as the MVP. Go back out there and get slimed on top of everything. But hey, you're a winner to those kids on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you grew up in Nickelodeon, like, wouldn't you want to get slimed? Like, that was the cool thing, right?
Oh yeah,
of course. I wish I could get
Hey, if we're talking about MVPs and heroes regarding that game, it's Cordell Patterson.
You should have been on that leaderboard.
Right?
Yeah. You know what F means, right?
I want to see young Sheldon pop up on the screen and explain that one. Oh man, it was an interesting game with that and everything, but I thought it was kind of cool. I'd like to see where they take it from there. Man, all right. Well, with that, we're gonna kind of glaze over the NBA season. It's back. When we first started, we talked about it, we brought it up, and we kind of were just like, well, I guess we'll see what happens. They did a pretty good job with the whole bubble system, trying it out now with just, doing their thing, their own places. So far, so good. Some players testing positive. They get isolated super quick. They're doing a good job. But I think it's one of those things too. I don't know. One of the headliners in the past week was just Kyrie Irving, him getting fined because he showed up to a small party or whatever. But he was also the person who was just like, well, I don't know if I'm going to play this season, health and all that stuff. I don't want to get sick. People getting a lot of backlash on that. And then he shows up to a party or something, a small gathering. And then there's even more backlash. And so I don't know. But that's the gossip around the NBA right now. It's still young, still early in the season. Blockbuster trades, those things are crazy. Brooklyn looking like a juggernaut. Anyone, Ray, you seem like you want to hop in on this one.
Oh, I mean, I don't follow NBA too much, but I do know about that trade, and all the memes out there with LeBron and all that. Do you guys think like they'll be the next champions, or like they'll beat the Lakers, or what are you guys' thoughts on that? Because I don't know. I don't keep up too much.
Andrew, you got any input on that one?
I think the NBA is a little bit ahead of NFL, since they were still able to do like a championship, where my Lakers took it home. So I'm hoping the Lakers take it home again this season. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this year goes. It should be better, I'm assuming, as we get towards the end of the season, since the vaccine will be distributed out. People will be getting vaccinated. Testing will become a thing of the past, or things that will kind of dwindle off. But we'll see.
What happened to that 19-point lead the Lakers had yesterday? What was that?
It's called being a champion.
Yeah, I guess. But no, honestly, I don't know how Brooklyn's going to do this year. I don't know. This is weird because you got three alpha males on a team that, honestly, the only person that might be willing to give up points is Durant, but I don't know. Not really sure.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, maybe this is fake news, but I heard that they were like see how like the outbreak, because I know the 76ers game was like an interesting one because they only had like 7 players that were playing. So and they had like a projected thing like on Instagram to show like point guard will be like Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
But I heard that they might go back to a bubble system if the outbreaks go bad, because I've seen the bubble system. I think I know we talked about this in past episodes, but for me, I think just like how they can control they stay in one area, they don't travel to different areas and stuff. But I think it was successful in my eyes on the bubble system. So I'll be interested to see if they'll go back to that format, and I interested to see if other leagues would do that too and stuff. Because NFL season's pretty much almost over. Will the MLB consider going to a bubble system? Because I know they have over at Disney World, they have a complex there they can play. That's where the same complex where the NBA and the WNBA bubble was. Interested to see that. But I mean, there's a lot of players that deal with the MLB, so we can talk MLB later. But yeah, the bubble system. Yeah, I'm interested to see if they're going to come out. But I'm cheering for like what you mentioned. I'm cheering for the Brooklyn Nets. I do have a beanie of the Brooklyn Nets, and they are considered my Sonics right now. So we got Kevin Durant there. We have James Harden. We have Jeff Green. I'm for it.
Oh, Jeff.
Go Nets. Go Nets. And Jay-Z. That's all.
Oh man.
Yeah. Wondering regarding James Harden, you could tell he's a lot happier there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I was just cracking up. Yeah. Do you guys see his off-season weight gain? I was like, oh boy. So and obviously he was hinting he wanted out. So, and kind of digressing, but keeping Houston relevant. It's so funny. All these athletes leaving the Houston teams or wanting to get out of Houston, whether if that's the NBA, NFL, MLB. I think Rainn Wilson tweeted about it the other day. It just cracked me up. He's like, I wish I could join a Houston sports team so I could quit. I was just dying. That was just fun. It was perfect timing too, because it was right after James Harden's departure. So, but you could tell he's a lot more energetic there. So yeah, I'm curious of how the Nets are going to do. But yeah, the personalities are what I'm most concerned about. But then again, these are like veterans, so they may have a more mature outlook into how like they work with the team.
It's like the USA team.
Somehow they do it, so I don't know. They'll have to figure it out. They need Coach K is what they need.
Or Coach Carter.
Coach
Carter would work too. Oh man.
What is your deepest fear? What? What do you mean?
I can't defend in the post. That's my deepest fear.
See, every time I go to shoot, I close my eyes and because I'm scared that the ball won't go in. What? That's your deepest fear?
Oh man. But yeah, so yeah. With that, gonna kind of close out the NBA talk for right now. We'll see how it goes. Sports Point 5.0 will probably be mostly NBA talk once we get to that point. But before we close out this episode, I know we kind of went all over the place, but that's what we do. We're just a group of friends talking about sports and catching up on sports. But before we end that part of it, we're going to go around the table again and just say Super Bowl predictions. What two teams are going to make it? Who you think is going to win? Ray, I'm going to start with you.
All right. Let's start off strong. So,
all right.
I think it's going to be the Packers and the Chiefs at the Super Bowl.
Who's winning?
I think the Chiefs will win.
Okay.
I mean, okay. Okay. I'm so like not 100% on that decision. Like I want the Packers to win. Okay, I'll leave it at that. I want the Packers to win. Packers for sure.
Okay, you heard it here, folks. He changed his mind real quick. But no, I mean, honestly, I think it just depends on what Patrick Mahomes is going through as well. I think you saw the reports that a source very close to the Chiefs, but not the Chiefs themselves, had said that it's a vertebrae neck injury that causes concussion-like symptoms. Sidney Crosby plays for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL. Had something similar a couple of years ago. He missed 6 months because of how intensive it was for recovery. So we don't know if that is what's going on with Patrick Mahomes right now. But if that is the case, that might change kind of the outlook of what the Chiefs look like. Chad Henne again, to quote Zavon earlier, this old fart that's been in the league for how many years. He sucked it up in Miami, but didn't even know he was still playing until he had to come in and give the Henne thing as possible, and Henne give him Sunday, and all the dang sayings that just came out of the woodwork for that to get the Chiefs to the AFC Championship. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But with that said, Zavon, what is your Super Bowl matchup and winner?
I'm putting the Bills and Packers in the Super Bowl. I think Aaron Rodgers will get his revenge game. Just considering, like, I know things for Tampa Bay have clicked. Like, they started to click. Like, Tom Brady started using his weapons and building the chemistry with, like, all the guys on offense. But they're going to Green Bay. And I think the only person who's really used to that climate, for the most part, is Tom Brady. I just don't know how his weapons will react in said weather. So I'm putting the Packers ahead of them advantage-wise. And then the Bills, regarding Patrick Mahomes' status, I think the Bills will have the edge on them. Winning the Super Bowl, that's tough because, like, to me, the Bills and Packers are just a good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like, even my gut won't even react to it. I don't know. Someone make my mind up for me, because
I say give the older guys another Super Bowl.
Flip of a coin, man. That's what it comes down to, I think, on that one.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I'm just saying Bills and Packers Super Bowl. I don't know who's going to win because both quarterbacks are literally playing MVP seasons right now. Josh Allen, his mechanics and everything, like, improved a lot from last year. He looks a lot more confident postseason wise. Aaron Rodgers, he's just slinging it like how Aaron Rodgers has done, and he's been healthy all year. So
Yeah.
It might just be an overall shootout, to be honest with you, when it comes down to those two teams.
Could be.
It comes down to who gets out-coached in the end, similar to Philly and New England 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, seriously. Gerald.
Oh man. Yeah, I think in my gut it'll be the Bucks and the Bills. It's my gut feeling. Tom Brady, what a goat. And like what Savon said, like everything's clicking for right now. Like it's weird, like even the fourth quarter, even though it was like kind of like the garbage time, we've seen Leonard Fournette. I haven't seen Leonard Fournette run like that in a while, and he's just bulldozing people, like getting first down, stuff like that. So, of course, they have Antonio Brown, they have Chris Godwin, they have Mike Evans. Like their team, like on paper, it's just stacked. I think just like during the season, I lost hope in Tom Brady and company, but now I'm kind of regaining hope. Steven, if you're listening to this, I want your pop figure to be more now. If Tom Brady does win, your first wave pops. So going for that. And then also, yeah, for the Bills too. Yeah, like and I've talked about this in Jim and Chill a lot, like even before the season. I just honestly, I don't know why. I just hate Josh Allen. Like, I think like I thought he was like, he's an okay quarterback, but he kind of proved me wrong through the season and stuff, especially playing against Seattle, playing all like, down the stretch, like to end the season. But I think as a winner, if they're going down to 2, and we might see this history, I probably might pick the Bucks to win the Super Bowl. They do got that home field advantage. If you think about it too, I don't know what their COVID restrictions are like with travel. Probably they don't, because I mean, you've seen people in different parts of Florida just traveling and stuff. But I think they'll have an upper hand too, just because they'll have at least their fans there. And I don't know if Bill's Mafia would go down a little bit south to Florida for that. But also, what I do sorry, this is a side tangent, but yeah, I do appreciate with the like fan base wise, the Bills Mafia for donating about, it was like $75K, or I forgot how much money to Lamar Jackson's foundation after he got injured and stuff. So, which is awesome.
And got it up to 360,000.
Yeah, 360,000. Like that's a lot, and like coming from the fan base rather than like the organization, that's huge, and it shows like they have respect for their opponent. They have respect for Lamar Jackson, but also they have respect for like other teams as well. So that got near and dear to my heart. So I was like, you know what, let's put him in the Super Bowl. But yeah, I think Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you'll see Tom Brady holding it up. And my hot take is, even though I think he signed a 2-year contract, I think he'll probably retire after that. Hot take. Be a coach with Bruce Arians. We'll see how that goes.
All right. Jomar.
Yeah. What was it? So I guess my pick, I'm going to pick the Bills. I think that Chad Henne, while a great serviceable quarterback and might be a good backup, I don't think he can compete with the Bills defense. And the way that the Bills played against Seattle, watching that game, oh man, they were a force on the field. So I'm picking the Bills, and for the NFC, I'm actually going to pick the Green Bay Packers to get to the NFC Championship, or get through the NFC Championship into the Super Bowl. Same thing with Zavon. Aaron Rodgers, a beast. Even though they were missing, I think they were missing the left tackle last game, they still did well. So, I mean, that offensive line hasn't missed a beat. I am jealous of the Packers offensive line, and I wish that they could just all come to Seattle and please progress. So yeah, my overall pick, I think the monkey comes off the Bills' back, and I think they finally win their Super Bowl that has been elusive from them since the 90s. So
I'm picking the Buffalo Bills to win everything, and that's crazy that in 2020 I'm saying the Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. But here we are, or 2021, excuse me.
2020.
But here we are, and I think the Bills are going to do it. And congrats to them. I don't remember, but I think like they went to the Super Bowl 3 times and they lost all 3. So yeah, I think Jim Kelly's looking up and he's looking down on Bills Nation, and I think they're gonna pull it off. So looking forward to them getting the ring.
Cool. Andrew, what do you think?
As much as I want to say the Chiefs and Packers and see a repeat of one of the very first Super Bowls, I don't think the Chiefs can make it past without Patrick Mahomes. They have a supercharged offense, but if you don't have your quarterback there, you're like Patrick Mahomes is that guy. He is the Tom Brady for the Chiefs. You know what I mean? So I think the Bills are gonna beat the Chiefs, and as much as I hate to say and see Tom Brady come into the NFC and just demolish and rise up to the top, I think Tom Brady's going to win the NFC against the Packers, but I'd rather not see him win. I'd rather see, Aaron Rodgers win, but I think Tom Brady's been there. He's experienced. I mean, even watching some of his games, he's always dealt with a changing team. Like Bill Belichick's system is like plug and play. So Tom Brady's used to having either nobodies or no names, and like Gerald said earlier, he has a stacked team. And I think as long as everyone's in sync, they have the chemistry going on, I think the Bucks will take it home. But as far as the Super Bowl, I hope that the Bills take it home. I agree with Joe Moore that I don't want to see Tom Brady win another Super Bowl. So I'm just a Tom Brady hater. If you listen to Steven, yeah, I said it.
But Pop Figure goes on a rise if he wins.
Yeah,
you better split that money.
I don't have one. So me and Gerald and I are gonna have to go do a jack move.
Yeah, we know his address, so it's fine.
Yeah. We'll go at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night.
You just get his nieces to go take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, take it out of the box and like a color on it or something.
Or I'll just trade with Vanessa for a puzzle. So
yeah, give her a plant.
Yeah, give her a plant. She'll do it.
How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I was hoping I could say the Cleveland Browns here, but couldn't pull it off. I think the Bills are going to be in it. I think they take down the Chiefs. I think it's just I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to play. If he does, is he going to be a little gun shy? I think kind of strategy in football. If someone's hurt, you don't intentionally try to hurt them, but you hit them high or low wherever their injury is. You don't try to end their career, but that's something that might happen if he does play. So yeah, that I think Bills are going. I think honestly, whoever comes out of the NFC has a very good chance at beating the Bills. I think, yeah, Aaron Rodgers has been playing good all year. I think Tampa Bay is going to, if they come out on top of the NFC, I could see them just taking it just because, yeah, plug and play system for Tom Brady. It's one of those things. And all the teams left, the defenses are good. So it's going to be defensive struggle, I would think. Although, I don't know. They said that about, Super Bowl 48 too, but you saw different there. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think whoever comes out of the NFC is going to win it. I just don't know who's going to win between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady at this point. It's just going to be a good matchup, I think. Cool. With that said, we will check in again after the season and kind of get the surprised looks of some folks and maybe not so surprised. I mean, if the Chiefs can pull it out, if Patrick Mahomes is 100%, got a good chance. So we'll see. We'll see. That said, we're going to wrap up today's episode, Sports 4.0. Just like every other episode, we challenge all of our listeners to kind of look at that, just have conversations, just kind of stay afloat, keep yourself sane. At this point, there's no, at least in this episode, there's no super crazy moral thing you need to think about. It's just sports, talk to your friends about it, talk to your parents about it. I don't know, talk to some stranger about it if you want. Actually, I take that back. Don't do that. That's weird. Have conversations with your friends just like we do. It's a good time. Talk about sports or whatever you want that keeps you sane during these times. With that said, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk by Our Stories, Your Legacy, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.